Welcome to the second part of the Marfan experience. Once again, my name is Michael Martin. In this portion, I want to talk to you about my gifts. Steve Harvey, someone that everyone probably should know, said two things that stuck out to me. Number one, he urged everybody to find their gifts. God blessed us all with gifts. He urged us all to pretty much find what it is that God gave us and urged us to share with the world. The other thing that Mr. Harvey said that sticks out to me, he told the world, no one famous made it to be famous until someone famous helped them. Those two things I carry with me in my journey. So what is my gift? The gift of writing. I've been writing since I was 9 years old. And when I say that, it was mainly poetry, just honing my craft in so many words. As I got older, my gift matured. I've written for different things like yearbooks, weddings, funerals, birthdays. If you can name it, I've probably done it. It wasn't until I was told that I could never work again that I pursued my gift in the form of writing books. And I must say, I'm impressed with the outcome so far. During my career as a writer, there are 4 golden goals that I have set for myself. Those 4 golden goals are Miss Oprah Winfrey, Mr. Tyler Perry, Mr. Denzel Washington, and Mr. Floyd Mayweather Jr. First, I want to start with Miss Oprah Winfrey. Oprah is a very highly respected individual in the writing world within my craft. To a lot of up-and-coming writers as well as self-published authors, she's very feared. An author that I had befriended in the beginning of my career back in 2010, once he heard that this was one of my goals and one of my dreams to actually meet Miss Winfrey, he pretty much urged me not to. His words were, you don't want to play with Oprah. Oprah will make or break your career. Now that time has gone by, and me just kind of listening to this individual, certain things that he says and whatnot, it wasn't that he was pretty much trying to warn me. It was like he was saying I wasn't good enough. Anyway, in my mind, if you're an accomplished writer or a writer who's writing to make a difference, if you're not trying to get Miss Winfrey's attention, what on earth are you doing in my craft overall? And that's just my opinion. One of my main goals, my golden goal, was to sit on Oprah's couch and discuss one of many of my different books. It just seems like that's just the golden thing. Oprah's someone who has been totally honest in regards to reviewing books and pretty much bringing notoriety to several deserving authors in my craft. Once I took writing seriously, she became someone that I definitely want to impress. Overall, I don't just want to talk about one of my books with Miss Winfrey. I want to be one of her favorites. And that's one of my goals. I will see that goal. As I continue writing, I expect my writing to mature. And I expect if Miss Winfrey ever looks at any of my work, I expect her to be impressed. That's goal number one. Golden goal number two is Mr. Tyler Perry. Mr. Perry, I've been a fan of yours ever since the Medea days. I've also admired how you made your empire, your whole work ethic from nothing into something. I want to introduce to you one of my books entitled Never Blend with the Wind. This book is about relationships. I created 6 different characters, placed them in positions of wealth and finance and success, and brought them all together to enjoy one night of each other's company. No matter how successful we all can be or have become, one thing that seems to still be something that we all struggle with is finding a decent man or a decent woman. The reason for that, you can ask 1,000,000 people and you'll get 1,000,000 different answers. This book is just based on finger pointing. Men say women are the reason why relationships go bad, and women say men are the reasons. Well, since they are all successful, they decide to put their money where their mouths are. And what happens is, the stories that you hear come out of their mouths are stories that seem like they belong to people that you and I both know. Overall, the stories, the book itself is funny, it's dramatical, but at the same time, it has a message. And the message is mostly geared towards women with this particular book. Mr. Perry, my reading audience is predominantly women. And they love it. So far, I've only had one person who didn't, but that was from a biased point of view. I've heard things from this book should be made into a play, to this book should be made into a movie, to this sounds like something Tyler Perry would do, to why don't you reach out to Mr. Perry? And that's what I chose to do with this video in regards to Never Blend with the Wind. The next person on the list is probably more from a personal standpoint than anything. Mr. Denzel Washington. Mr. Washington, I've been a fan of yours since The Mighty Quinn. I've admired your work ethic. Every character you've ever done is different from the last, and they all have some form of inspiration. But it's not so much those particular characters that have moved me. 2 particular films that you were a part of hit home for me. The first one was John Q. Around the time that John Q came out, I had just had my first open heart surgery. John Q was about a little boy who had a heart problem. I found out shortly after I watched that movie that my oldest son has Marfan syndrome. The thought of him having to go through heart surgery like I have, it tore me up. I was only able to see that movie one time in my life. And the only reason I sat through it was because it was at a movie theater. My son, my oldest son, has had his first and hopefully his last open heart procedure in March of 2011. The other movie that definitely hit home for me was the Antoine Fisher story. The way that you were able to bring Antoine's life together, or Mr. Fisher's life together, and put it on the big screen for the whole world to embrace. It was beyond phenomenal. And before I go on, I must say, The Pursuit of Happiness was just as good, but I felt like I connected with the Antoine Fisher story because a lot of his anger, his frustration with life, I could relate to. Mr. Washington, that brings me to the next thing on my list. This book is what I like to call my lesson in my craft. It was the first book that I had written. It came out in 2010. Upon listening to other authors' advice, I chose to cut corners when it came down to costs to make it more cost efficient for me. I think I was more excited over the fact that I had completed and finished the book that I just overall just wanted to get it out. Let's just say I'm not happy with the way this book turned out because I skimmed on the main important part of a book, which any author of substance can tell you is the editing. There are so many typos in my book that if I tried to present it to be reviewed, it would probably get torn to shreds based off of the mistakes, no matter how compelling the story may be. So at this point in time, the book has been revised. It's been brought up to date. And hopefully, if my finances allow me to, it will come out next year. My book is more than about the heart surgeries. There's so much that we go through with Marfan syndrome outside of the heart surgeries and the complications that it pretty much presents us with. We talk about ridicule, bullying, being pretty much singled out. These are situations that overall are affecting our children today. I'm not saying the way that I handled these situations was the way. All I'm saying is, for everything that this book, when it comes out in 2013, expresses, there's at least 500,000 people that will be able to relate to each category. Some people will be able to go from one category to the next. I bared it all in this book. Blood, sweat, and tears. And I did it all for the sake of saving at least one life. I won't get greedy, even though I feel that it can be more of a blessing to more than just one person. But in order for us to do better, we must know better. And I just feel that I'm in a position to pretty much tell that story, hoping for a brighter outcome, for a better tomorrow. Mr. Washington, when this book comes out, I would love to be able to send you a copy of it, to have you look at it and see if you can duplicate that same magic that you put into Antoine Fisher's story and bring that to mine. Overall, it would be a priceless victory out of all of my golden goals, because no matter how many books that I ever write, this story means the most. I hope in some way, shape, or form you'll give me the opportunity by at least checking it out to see if it's something that you would even be interested in the future. Which leads me to number 4. Mr. Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. First of all, let me say, welcome home, champ. You need to understand something. Money May, you inspire me in so many ways. I've always, in some way, shape, or form, liked to do things above average. When I was able to work, I didn't want to settle for what middle class had to offer in regards to whatever this world could have gave me. Whether it been cars, whether it been romantic trips, whatever the case, I always wanted to do it big. Now that I'm in a position where that's not possible, to see another African American man, it could have been a woman for that matter, but for it to be a man and doing it the way that you do it, it just feels like I'm living what I could have been through your eyes. And it's not just about the money, but it's damn sure about the progress, the process that you had to go through to get to that point, as well as the success. Also, with that type of lifestyle and your type of accomplishment, there comes a lot of haters. I've only been in my craft for about 2 years strong. And the individuals who I may have thought were inspirations in my craft, for some reason, a lot of the males that are writing books feel that it's about competition. I've gotten most of my help from 2 individuals, and they are females, Miss Nicole Simmons, and the last one, Miss Andrea Clinton. But all the males, it's like a crabs in a barrel mentality. There's individuals out there that have written at least 10 plus books, and they feel that they are at a certain level. Well, I feel with just my 1.5 books that I'm better than them. The success that they know with 10 books, I want to know that success in 5 books. And I have the power to do it. This comes easy to me to write the way that I write, because it's a God-given talent. I've known it since I was young, and now I've embraced it. Just the same as you have climbed up the ranks and you stand alone. Many come knocking at the door. Many say they can do this and they can do that. But at the end of the day, you prove them wrong. So I won't go into any more with that, with personal stories and whatnot. The proof is in my writing in regards to how good I am and what my purpose for writing is all about. When you read any of my books, I don't want you to ever feel like it's something you've read before. I don't want anybody to be able to say he sounds like a young Donald Goines, or he sounds like a male version of Terry McMillan, or he sounds like Zane. There's only one Zane. There's only one Terry McMillan. There's only one Donald Goines. And there's only one Michael Martin. The difference is, you know who they are. They've already been established. It's my time. It's my time to be established. It's my time for the world to know just how gifted I am with a pen. And that's where it comes down to you as well, Money. I want to write your autobiography. When you went down and you got, you had to go through your bid, I've written you 8 letters, 1 letter for each week that you were down. Each letter was over 9 pages long. The first letter had both these books attached to it. And I asked you if I could have that privilege. You said in the interview on HBO that you were given 2 more years to the world of boxing. That would put you at 37 years old, same age I would be. There comes a time where everyone seems to want to write their life story when they have something to say. I'm asking you if I can be the person that brings your life story to life. By that time in 2 years, I should at least have 2 more books out. My autobiography, as well as the other one that I'm working on at this point in time, entitled The Evil That Men Do. Don't take my word for it. Hopefully when those books come out, you could take a look at them to see how I progressed in my craft, to show myself to be worthy of that compliment. Why else would I not want to write your book other than the fact that you are the greatest of all time? You're in a position where I want to be in my craft, one of the greatest, if not on my own level. And just to pretty much give you my opinion, Muhammad Ali is the greatest heavyweight of all times, hands down. But when it comes down to attacking several weight divisions, conquering those weight divisions, getting all types of titles in regards to those weight divisions, it just comes down to the fact that I just overall say that when it comes down to it, Floyd Mayweather is the greatest. 43-0. You can't top that. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And I'm not lying to you when I say that I'm gifted with the pen. I just hope to have that honor, if any honor, out of the 4 golden goals that I've set for myself in my craft today. So there you have it.